I'm a 21-year-old woman studying computer science in college. I have one more year to go, and we have to pay tuition fees yearly, usually around October. If we miss the deadline, no fee waiver is given, which seems unfair to me. I've been working hard for a fee waiver, and if I miss it, all my efforts will be wasted. I know it might sound strange, but sometimes the college and education system seem absurd to me. This is really important to me because I've focused so much on my career that I've given up my social life for this degree. You might call me a nerd, but I'm okay with that because my career is my priority. I take pride in being a nerd. Now, as you can tell from the title, the situation I'm dealing with in life, caused by the selfishness and entitlement of both my parents and brother, isn't a one-time occurrence. It's a problem I've faced my entire life, starting from the day I was born. My father manages my grandparents' textile business, which he inherited as the only son. My grandfather worked hard to build it, and he was financially successful. On the other hand, my mother, also an only child, comes from a well-off family but not as wealthy as my grandfather's. She always feels like there's never enough, often comparing herself to my grandmother. Due to the strained relationship between my grandmother and mother, my father hasn't taken over the business yet. Both my parents, being only children themselves, wanted the same for their own family. That's my twin brother, who's the same age as me. I was unexpected and almost given up for adoption, but my grandma promised to care for me. So since I was 2 years old, my grandparents have been looking after me. We're very close, and they're the only ones who've made me feel like I belong to a family. Essentially, I'm seen as the unwanted child by my mom because she believes that having a second child brings trouble and hinders the first child's potential. Plus, having a boy as an heir seems preferable to her than having a girl. Today, my brother and I turned 21. We never had a good relationship. He never defended me or confronted our parents. Instead, he often bullied me and made my life difficult. Even though we're the same age, I'm working hard to achieve something meaningful, while he dropped out of high school and spends his time dating younger girls. Yet, he's always favored over me. I'd be lying if I said I didn't hope for my parents to notice and be proud of me. But by now, I've accepted that it's unlikely to happen. It's even hard to imagine such a thing. Back to today, it's just a regular day for me, working on projects and internships. I also have the extra task of paying my fees, and today is the deadline. Meanwhile, for my brother, it's a day of celebrating with strippers and alcohol at our private farmhouse, along with our parents, of course. Of all days, today is when I happened to be careless and forgot some important papers I needed urgently. I tried calling everyone's phone, even the landlines at our farmhouse, but got no response. The disappointment, hurt, and anger I felt were stronger than when Bianca found out about her husband's affair. As a last resort, I had to think of something else. I called my grandparents because they were the only ones I trusted. As soon as they heard about my situation, they sent someone to collect the papers. Thankfully, all my efforts paid off, and I felt a wave of relief. However, the anger I had inside turned into pain when I met my grandparents. At their house, I had the worst mental breakdown of my life. I could see their hearts breaking as I ranted about the mistreatment and the party that was happening while my life was in chaos. When my grandpa learned about my brother dropping out, there was a moment of silence. Then he took a dramatic action. He tore up a paper, called the lawyer, and impulsively decided to remove my brother from his inheritance, giving his share to my future kids or to charity if I don't have any. I feel a twinge of guilt for taking my brother's fortune, but a part of me enjoys it. Later, at the party where my grandpa was supposed to present his will to both of us, I knew there would be shock and maybe it would be the last time we all gathered like this. I rarely see my mother smile, and while it may seem a bit harsh, she deserves to lose that smirk she wears whenever her son is mentioned. Part of me feels guilty, but another part feels vindicated and strangely at peace. I'll update you all on what happens after the party, but I can assure you it's going to be quite a ride, with me having a last laugh. Surprisingly, things turned out even better than I imagined. The real issue here isn't the money, but how I've been treated just because I was born as an extra child. We all got dressed up for the party, and I made sure to look my best since it was my birthday after all. My brother got really drunk, which only added more drama to the evening. We had cake and enjoyed ourselves. Grandpa introduced me to many people, proudly highlighting my achievements and emphasizing that I'm more than just an extra child. While it might sound a bit arrogant, I know when to humble myself. As the evening drew to a close and only close relatives remained, Grandpa began a speech about our family legacy and life, which was quite impressive. He spoke kindly about everyone in our family until he shifted focus to my parents and brother. I know I shouldn't have found it amusing, but it was hard not to smirk as he described my mother as a toxic daughter-in-law and my brother as having no identity of his own. He joked about how they had created a son who excelled in being a dropout and an alcoholic. Seeing my mother hang her head in shame as she walked away was strangely satisfying. Despite the tension, the announcement of me inheriting the entire fortune sparked a heated argument between my parents, but they were eventually pacified with an envelope of money, enough to send my brother to rehab. That's all for today. I'll keep you all updated. It's been a while since my birthday, and I'm now 21 years and 8 months old. Each day feels like a fresh start, and I'm grateful for the support from the Reddit community. Your wishes, comments, suggestions, and even the trolls targeting my parents and brother are all appreciated. Apologies for not updating sooner. I lead a busy life and have managed to assemble a great team to start my own startup. Now, back to the update. My grandparents recently transformed the party farmhouse into a peaceful vegetable and orange field where they spend a lot of time together. They occasionally invite me for snacks and tea, which I find quite serene. Despite my parents' attempts to manipulate me into signing everything over to my brother, I've cut off contact with them, with my grandparents' approval. When my father retires, my cousin will take over his position, along with another promising individual, to continue running Grandpa's legacy. Everything is going smoothly, and I've started socializing more, forming healthy friendships that support me through tough times and celebrate with me during good ones. As for my brother, he's out of rehab and attempting to repair our relationship, but I'm not ready for that yet. Adding to his troubles, his 17-year-old girlfriend is pregnant. While she's no saint, my heart goes out to her as the real victim. However, I prefer not to involve myself in their mess. This will be my final update, marking the end of this chapter of my life. Take care, everyone, and stay healthy. All's well that ends well, right? I'm glad your grandparents stood up for you and supported you. Make sure to take good care of them. Your brother sounds like he's up to no good. Anyway, I'm happy things worked out for you, and don't let your parents get to you. They seem toxic. It's okay to be proud of your goals. Moving on to my own story, I'm a 28-year-old woman, and I've been dating my 29-year-old boyfriend for a little over 2.5 years. When our relationship started to get serious, I made it clear that I didn't want children. It wouldn't be fair to lead him on when we had different desires. He initially wanted kids, but after discussing it, he agreed to forego that desire. Everything was fine until we visited my family a few days ago for my dad's birthday. He saw some old pictures of me when I was 20 and heavily pregnant. He was upset and asked about it, thinking I had a child I hadn't told him about. I explained that my oldest sister and her husband had struggled with fertility, and I offered to carry a child for them. My 7-year-old niece is the result of this arrangement. I don't feel maternal towards her. She's their biological child, and I was just the surrogate. I never brought up the situation because I didn't think it was relevant, and it happened so long ago that it didn't seem like anyone else's concern. However, he feels differently. When we left, he expressed his disappointment, saying I should have told him. He felt it wasn't fair that I was willing to help my sister have a child, but wouldn't consider having one with him. I got upset because there's a big difference between carrying a child and raising one, and I explained this to him. I apologized for not disclosing it earlier, as I honestly didn't think it was his business, given that it happened years before we were together. I reminded him that he was the one who initially said he could live without children, as I had warned him about my stance on the matter long ago. He's still upset with me, but I don't believe I did anything wrong. Am I the asshole? Since people keep asking, I'll include this information. In our country, it's preferred that surrogates be over 21 and have had at least one child. However, doctors sometimes make exceptions on a case-by-case basis, allowing surrogates over 18, even if they've never had a child before. We were one of those cases, although they discouraged it. My sister didn't want to use a stranger as a surrogate because of the legal complexities in our country, where the person who carries the child has all the rights, and my sister and her husband would have no recourse if I decided to keep the child. She trusted me. I'm going to say everyone sucks here, and you can downvote me all you want. Here's why. You and your boyfriend discussed children, so you had to assume he would see those pictures. If he stuck around long enough, your pregnancy should have been mentioned. His reaction was understandable on a certain level. But implying that you had a baby for your sister, so you should be willing to have one for him too, is not acceptable. Both of you made the mistake of assuming he could be okay without kids when deep down he wants them. He's not okay with it, and if you don't have kids, he may end up resenting you. If you do have kids for him, you might end up resenting him, and possibly the kids too. Please think this through carefully. You're not the asshole here. Were you a gestational surrogate? If so, does he understand that your niece is not your biological child? That confusion could explain his reaction, unless he genuinely thought you didn't want kids because you didn't want to deal with pregnancy. As someone who doesn't want kids myself, the idea of still technically making and carrying one for someone else would be more problematic for me than being a gestational surrogate because of the reasons I don't want children. So if you're a traditional surrogate, I can somewhat understand why he might be confused and frustrated, but you're still not in the wrong. You were upfront and honest about your future plans with him from the start. It's not your job to make sure he knows every detail of your past. Next story. I've been dating my girlfriend for 8 months, and things have been going well. When she started a project in my part of the city, she decided to stay at my place temporarily rather than commute daily. I noticed that when she showers, she sets the water so hot that steam fills the bathroom, leaving everything wet when she opens the door. I've repeatedly asked her to use the dehumidifier while she showers, but she insisted on showering with the window open and turning on the dehumidifier afterward because the air was too humid. I put my foot down and told her it wasn't optional, but she ended up breaking the dehumidifier with the steam. I told her enough was enough, and if there's no dehumidifier, she would have to shower at a normal temperature like everyone else. When she comes out of the bathroom, her skin is red. Instead of complying, she started locking herself in the bathroom until the steam dissipated, so I wouldn't catch her turning my bathroom into a sauna. Last week, I reached my breaking point. I removed the lock from the bathroom door. Just to clarify, the toilet is in a separate room, ensuring complete privacy. Now, she can't steam up the entire bathroom without me knowing. I knock before entering and check that the bathroom isn't too steamy and that the water temperature is normal. She hasn't said anything about it, but her mood towards me has been low. She started spending weekends at her place and gradually taking her belongings with her. I explained that I didn't remove the lock to be mean, but the hot showers were damaging my bathroom and possibly affecting her health too. She just responds with okay, and it's fine. Am I the asshole for forcing my girlfriend to break my dehumidifier after she warned me it would break and then blaming her for the damage? Anyway, I removed the locks from the door, and now I'm treating her like she can't make her own decisions. I'm surprised because she's slowly moving out and doesn't want to tolerate my controlling behavior anymore. In case you couldn't tell by now, yeah, I'm the asshole. This is extremely controlling and strange. Let's be honest, this has nothing to do with her health or safety and everything to do with my desire to control her behavior. Seriously, who removes the lock from the bathroom door? If you're so concerned about the bathroom, just get a new dehumidifier. Also, it's scientifically proven that women prefer hotter showers than men because women have more constricted blood vessels, which positions blood closer to the surface of the skin.